Hello and welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm participating again in the Global SU vlog hop. Sorry I missed last month. I was not feeling well. I'm hoping that you enjoy this project. We are focusing on stationery and storage this month, which we can always use a little bit more of. So I'm going to be using the Dragonfly Garden Stamp set. And this set always makes me think of late summer, early fall with echinacea growing in the gardens and dragonflies. So that's the time of the year it is here in North America. And so that's kind of the vibe I'm going with. So I will be using the tall flower stamp and then the butterflies, and also the May Good Things Grow All Year Long saying. And I'm going to be making a gardening journal. So this is something that I've been meaning to do, oh boy, for 20 years, and I've just never done. Since my husband and I bought our first house, and it came with wonderful perennial flowers that I didn't know anything about, and I learned a lot about in that first 2-3 years that we were there. I love gardening. I don't have as much space as I used to, but I do need a journal. I'll flip through a little bit of what I did, and then of course you can set up your journal however you want to, however it's going to work best for you. So I just found these moleskin notebooks. This size come in a pack of 3 at the office supply store that I went to. I'm sure there's something similar where you're from. I like the small size. It's big enough to kind of set somewhere or store somewhere, and it's not going to take up a lot of room. It's big enough to write down the information that I want. So let me just run through what I did just real quick. We're going to decorate the front, which will be most of the stamping. And then I separated the notebook into some sections, and I've been watching some bullet journaling videos because I think it's interesting, and I know a lot of people are doing a lot of that. So I kind of use some of their thoughts when I'm dividing these pages to do my journaling, and I'll kind of walk through that when I set up the next one. You can set your categories up however you would like, but what I did is I put little tabs for trees and shrubs, annuals, perennials, because we live in zone 3. Actually, I might live in zone 4 now. We moved about 25 miles south of where we used to live. And then vegetables, which we don't do a lot of vegetable growing, but I think it might be helpful for us to keep track of that. And then just a wish list, because I always see pretty plants and flowers and think, oh, that would look good in a certain spot, or maybe I should try something like this or that. So that's what that section is going to be about. These journals, like I said, these are easy to decorate. You don't have to cover anything. Like I said, I'm using the large flower stamp from the Dragonfly Garden, and all I'm only using one ink color, and that is crumb cake. And so I'm just gonna ink it up. And the one thing about this is you hope you don't mess it up, because you only got one shot on the journal. So that's why I did a sample for sure. All right, I'm gonna stamp once up towards the top here so that I get this flower peeking out above where the cardstock layer is gonna be. And then I'm also gonna come in with the butterfly stamp and stamp some random butterflies over here in the corner, just to have them kind of fluttering, flying by. And then I'm going to bring in my cardstock. This is Soft Succulent. Love this color. And I'm just going to do some tearing of this to cover up this. And I'm going to, I had punched out a few pieces for the tabs out of some scraps, but I'm going to try to save enough so I can get one more oval punched out of this one. So I'm going to start from the bottom. It's if you want the kind of heathery part coming toward on top of the what you're looking at and tearing, you want to pull the paper towards you. And just kind of do, you can always tear more off if you don't get it all in the first try. So out of this corner, I'm going to show you what I did for the tabs along the side here. I just used the double oval punch and punched out 5 of these ovals. So I needed one more that I didn't get out of the other scrap that I had. So I'll punch one more. And we'll have that. So I've got 5 ovals. And we're going to put that on the inside of the journal. So I'm just going to put those aside for right now. We're going to stamp on the soft succulent cardstock, and I'm just going to take the same flower stamp and ink it up. And you want to ink it up completely, even though you might go off of the edge, so you don't miss any pieces of it. So I'm just going to kind of go up to the top, maybe a little off to the side, and I'm going to do it one more time and do it a little shorter. This part's going to be covered up, so that's okay if there's a little space there. And then I'm actually, when I was playing around with this, I also put some, another image on the inside back cover. There's a little envelope in here, so on the sample, I just put a spot for receipts because I want to kind of keep track of how much I spend on my flowers, especially the perennials and the shrubs. So I just put 1 or 2 flowers back here to decorate up the back page also. And I'm going to let that dry. I'm going to pull in my scraps. So for the front, the other scraps that I have just a scrap of shimmery white cardstock, and I just pulled this out of my white scrap basket. It just happens to be shimmery. It doesn't have to be, but the shimmery white is a little thicker, so it's a little bit more durable. And then this is a piece of designer series paper from the Pansy Petals designer series papers. So that's just one of the pieces in there. I love gingham. It's so pretty. And then this is Early Espresso, just a scrap out of my scrap box. So I'm going to stamp on the white piece first with this May Good Things Grow All Year Long. Since I'm stamping at an angle, got a little crooked, that's okay. Plants aren't perfect, we're not perfect. All right, I'm gonna close this up. So that we can decorate the front. So I kind of lay my stuff out ahead of time, do a dry run, see where you want it, everything laying. I wanted these different layers here. And I'm gonna tear these 2 on the end, but I just kind of wanted to see how big they need to be before I do that. So this one I'm just gonna tear just barely on the edge because I wanna have that as a layer. And this one I'm gonna make a little bit longer. So if we put that there and there and there, I think that's pretty cute. A little bit of variety, a few different layers. And I didn't put anything up on dimensionals because if I'm going to be keeping this year to year, it's going to be in and out of drawers, on shelves, you know, it's going to need to be stuck down pretty securely. I am going to use tear and tape to stick it down, just so that it sticks really well to the front of the journal and it's not peeling away, because it is going to be something that I will be using from year to year. So I just wrote in my own handwriting the different categories that I wanted on here. So trees and shrubs. Now if you don't like it, you can flip it over, of course. Annuals, perennials, veggies. And then I did a wish list. Because, you know, I'm out and about places and I see a cool plant or I see something in a magazine or something like that, and it'd be fun to jot it down and then eventually add it to my garden. So then what I did is I just kind of separated the notebook. I figured in our yard, and this is going to be different for everybody, the trees are going to be the fewest, so they won't need many pages. And I attached these with Tombow glue, and I just put it kind of on the one end here. You can also kind of lay these out and see where they need to be along the edge. I figured 4 of them go nicely on the side here, so I'm just going to kind of follow this sample. And the one nice thing about Tombow is you can move it around a little bit, so if it is in too far or out too far, you can kind of rearrange where it is. Okay, and so then I'm just going to flip a few pages, or maybe like 3 or 4 even at the most. We don't have that many trees, like I said. And then I'm going to do annuals. Now this is the one that will probably rotate the most, because obviously annuals, you're planting new things every year. And this is also going to depend on what what growing zone you are in. You know, whether you put whether you plant annual flowers or all of them are perennial, or however that works for you. And it'll take a little bit for those things to dry, and I'll make sure that the vegetable one is not sticking to another page because I have glue on both sides. You could certainly put cardstock in there to reinforce those pages too, so that they're a little bit more sturdy. So that would be an option. And then I'm just going to quickly show you, I'm not going to do it on screen because it's going to be different for everybody, but what I did to set up the inside of the journal is I kind of want to keep track of, like I said before, the cost and where I'm buying things from. So I skipped a page because these pages are a little thin, and then I just did some columns. So I put tree, cost, purchased from, and then the date planted under the trees. And then for the annuals, I messed up, so I flipped the page. So you can plan ahead and not have to do that. And I put columns for what the plant is, where I bought it, where I planted it, because I have several different pots or locations where I put my annual plants, and then performance of how they did. And then I did something similar for the perennials. Again, skipped a page there. Perennial, where'd I buy them, how much, because those can definitely vary how much you spend on perennials around our area anyway, where I planted them and how they performed. And then vegetables, something similar but not quite as detailed. I put the year, what year we planted them, and I could probably actually include a year column under the annual plants too, annual flowers, the vegetable, where they were planted and how they were, how they performed. And then the wish list, I just again skipped a page, and then I just put a page for perennials and annuals and veggies and shrubs and trees, so that can kind of just categorize them a little bit. And then again on the back inside page, I just wrote receipts up here, so I can do that quick. So if just in case you're out and about, you have this in your purse or, you know, whatever, you can slip the receipts right in there until you have a chance to write them down in the journal. And then you can toss them, of course. Hope you like this. It was something a little bit different. Thank you for watching, and the next person's video will be listed in the description below, so that you can hop on over and watch the next video in the line. Hope you enjoy everybody's presentations, and have a wonderful day.